All right, we're back with another episode of Closed. I'm very excited to be joined by Gavin Steinberg today, who's co-founder and co-CEO of The Everset, which is, it's a New York City-based furniture staging and rental service. But you guys serve the greater New York City area, including New Jersey, Connecticut, the Long Island, Westchester suburbs, maybe some others. So founded in 2019 by Gavin and his partner, Jonathan Mitrani. Everset offers home staging services and furniture rental solutions. Essentially just eliminates the burden of home ownership, especially, I guess, if you're staging something, and have represented, I guess, thousands of units across New York City, and that's commercial and residential. Some of the biggest names in real estate, especially in New York City, I'm seeing here, Durst Organization, Brodsky, Madison Realty, Brookfield, RXR related, and then some of the big managing agents, Brown Harris Stevens, Corcoran, the list goes on. I don't want to get too into it, but essentially, Everset positions itself at the intersection of real estate design, sustainability, modern urban living. And I think what we really want to get into is Gavin's background as an operator and developer. So without further ado, Gavin, welcome to the show. Really great to have you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We could jump right in. I didn't want to get too much into it in the intro. Sometimes the first question, which is for listeners who might not be familiar with the Everset, what does it do? I don't want to steal your thunder. So, take it away.
Sure. So, as you said, the Everset is a full service staging business located here in New York. We service Connecticut, parts of New Jersey, out to Suffolk County and parts of Westchester. In addition to that, we have a furniture rental business, and residents can come to our website, rent furniture anywhere from 3 to 24 months, and we'll deliver and assemble and pick it up for free. And at the end of their term with us, they can renew, they can swap, they could buy it. So we really have two businesses. One is the staging, and the other is furniture rental.
Right. Yeah. And maybe you don't know it offhand, or maybe you do. What percentage do you feel is staging? Like, to what extent is the business very focused on? I imagine realtors, especially in New York City, are big clients. Maybe some of the commercial owners, but I'm more curious in the people that say, let's do away with having to worry about buying this furniture and dealing with it. Like, what's the breakdown?
When we started the business, so we launched in 2019, and we started it. I came from real estate. And I'm building homes in Park City, Utah. And one of the things that we do is sell the homes fully furnished. And so that's where the idea for the Everset came from. It was people were buying these homes because they didn't want to deal with furnishing it. They wanted to move right in and enjoy it. And that's where we started the idea for the New York rental market, which is looking at this market. It's why are young people, particularly young kind of professionals who are moving to New York, why are they coming and going to buy all this furniture that's either really junky furniture that's going to break the next time you move it? The mover costs more than the actual furniture does when you have to move it. It might not fit in your next apartment. And the average person is going to move 11 times by the time they're 45 years old. So it made no sense. Why are we buying furniture? You should be renting it. We'll come deliver it. We'll pick it up. We can move it for you to your next apartment. When you're ready to move to another city, we'll take it back. You move on with your life. So it's like you said, eliminates the burden of ownership, makes it really easy. That's where the business started. And we'd always planned on doing staging, but as kind of a complement to furniture rental to let people know it existed. But what we found was that there was just a real hole in the market. We were talking to our partners, and for staging, there was either really expensive staging companies, and the furniture is really nice, but most projects couldn't justify the price tag. And then on the other end of the scale, the furniture is not very nice. Yeah, it's not as expensive, but you're not going to get the design and look you want, and the customer service wasn't there. And there was very little in the middle. And so that's the hole we filled on staging, and our staging business has grown very quickly. And so when we started the business, it was, call it 80-20 furniture rental versus staging. We're getting closer to a flip where it's more staging than furniture rental. But we really think they complement each other nicely.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm wishing that 20 years ago when my wife and I were getting our first apartment up in Yorkville, if you guys are around, I remember going to West Elm and picking out stuff. We're like, are we ever going to use this in any other apartment that's not just like 650 square feet? And sure enough, like a lot of it got tossed, or we tried it in the next spot. We live in the suburbs on Long Island now, and we might have one piece. There's like one lamp that she hates that I always thought was cool. It had like a pyramidal structure that, I would be almost like embarrassed to like have it in the background of a shot, but we wouldn't have had that problem whatsoever. So it's definitely perfect for that.
Yeah, and we hear that all the time when we tell people that, like, I wish I knew this existed. That's part of it is most people don't even know that this is an option. But once they find out about it, they're like, this makes total sense.
Yeah. And you said Park City. Are you from Colorado?
I'm from New York.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm from New York, but I've been building out there for over 10 years now.
That makes sense. And that was probably a very good time. I mean, it's always been a hot city for, the ski resorts and stuff. Okay, that's interesting. And have you had a lot of crossover in clientele? Like I imagine there are a lot of New Yorkers that.
There are a lot of New Yorkers out there, but not so much. They're pretty separate businesses, and a lot of people in the Park City market are coming from California, Texas, and overseas.
Got it. That makes sense. That's good. And are those the markets that you're in now? Do you have any other expansion markets? We'll call it if somebody's going to move to Miami, for example. Would you consider that, or right now it's you've got everything?
Right. Yeah. Right now we're really focused on the New York area. We have other markets that are on our list, but we think there's a lot of opportunity still here that's just untapped. We only started focusing on staging a year or two ago, so seeing the growth we've had, we're very excited and optimistic about kind of the runway here.
So let's go back, because a lot of the people that listen to this are entrepreneurs, or they're thinking about it, or they serve entrepreneurs. Let's get into the business side of it. So you started with Jonathan in 2019. We talked a little bit already about the gap that you saw in the market. So what made you confident that your model and your approach to this was going to work?
Yeah, on the furniture rental side, it was really just kind of market research in terms of our own talking to friends, talking to people out there, and real estate contacts, and trying to get a sense of, hey, what do you think of this idea? And everyone we talked to about the idea loved it. On the staging side, that's when we really saw at firsthand kind of the hole in the market, that there was demand for it. When we're working with a developer and they're offering furniture rental through us, and they ask us to do the model unit, and they're like, wow, you guys are less expensive, more affordable, better customer service. There's no one out there doing this. We're going to work with you. And so we kept hearing that same story over and over again. So we felt pretty confident that there was a hole that we could fill.
Right. Yeah, I imagine in a place like New York City, you do well with one developer or one really big listing agent, and the word probably spreads that like these guys have the formula.
Yeah, and real estate often moves slowly. So once we finally convert someone to working with us, our clients have been with us, a lot of them for many years now.
And when let's say there's a new condo building going up or something, is it typical that they would have the just the model unit that would get staged, or in some cases, are you staging, let's say they have 100 units that are going to come to market, to the extent those are being marketed by that listing agent, are you staging each one of those, or it's very dependent on the goal?
Yeah, it really depends on the property owner and developer's goals. In some cases, we're just doing model units. It's ground up building. We might do 5 model units. The great thing about working with the Everset is we'll do the model units, but then when residents come in, whether it's for sale or rental product, they can rent our furniture or buy what they see. So it acts as kind of a showroom for these residents walking in, and it's a new added amenity or service for the building that didn't exist before. Now they can say, hey, would you like to have a furnished apartment? We work with the Everset. Go to their website, pick what you want. They'll deliver and assemble it. It's super easy. Rent in my building, you get 10% off. And so we work with property owners in that capacity. Another might be, I have 30 studios. I want them fully furnished, and I'm going to charge a premium on the rents. So we'll source and furnish all their studios. And so they're renting them fully furnished and just charging more in rent. So there's lots of different ways we can work with a property owner or developer, whether it's through staging, furniture rental, or fully furnished units. We kind of look at it as furniture solutions for the real estate community, not just one service.
And I'm sure, someone who's done ground up construction in a couple of different markets, I'm sure that really helps getting the light turning off on us there for a second. For those that actually watch the video, which some people maybe are, just for effect. So that I'm sure that you draw on that internally when you're working with clients. Do clients who are familiar with your background, will they actually ask for your advice on some of that stuff? Or is it really just very specific to staging?
It's typically specific, but I'm drawing on my background all the time. I came from multifamily in the city. The firm I worked at in New York oversaw a portfolio of 2,500 units. So I'm very familiar with New York City real estate. And when we work with a client, we put ourselves in the shoes of a property owner or developer. And I think that's one of the things that also differentiates us is we understand not to beat up the building and what that means to that property owner when we're bringing furniture in and out. We have a longer relationship with them, so we really care about that. And we want to try and help absorption rate as fast, to move as fast as possible and rent up that building or sell units and the highest price. So we really understand kind of the real estate market from both ends.
Right. You speak their language
Yeah.
too. Totally get each other. And how about Jonathan? What is his background?
He comes from the furniture world, and that was a very big piece of it. So when we kind of joined forces, I had a real estate background. Jonathan came from furniture, and that's how we were able to kind of fill both of those needs.
That's excellent. Who came up with the name? Or did you hire someone?
No, we were working with somebody, and they had an idea for a different name that was similar, and we actually looked up that name, and it was some emo band, and we decided we weren't going to do that. But we were like, well, this is actually better.
I
and
love
we
the
kind
name.
of tweaked it, and so the Everset was born.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great name because you repeat it back to yourself and you go, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense for what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
That's excellent stuff. And good you didn't take credit just for having the
No,
it's we don't want Jonathan calling you out in the comments or anything like that. So let's get into some specific questions. So are there certain price points where staging makes more sense than others, at least in your experience?
I think all price points benefit from staging. There's definitely property types that I think might benefit a little bit more than others. And, some of those might be a vacant apartment. Vacant apartments, no furniture, they seem smaller. And that's counterintuitive. You think, well, it's going to feel bigger, but actually when you put furniture in it, it starts to feel bigger. And it's very cold. You can't envision yourself living there. And then buyers have also the issue of, well, is this going to fit a queen size bed? Is it going to fit a king size bed? Where's my desk going to go? They have a hard time envisioning how it might work for them. So vacant apartments often can really benefit from staging. The flip of that would be furnished apartments that are done very poorly, or that just have a very specific style and taste. You walk into an apartment and you see rainbow wallpaper. That buyer might never be able to get over that. And so that's the flip of the unfurnished is the furnished.
I've been in some of those actually, and you're right. You can't unsee the gross rainbow.
All you talk about for the rest of the day is what you saw, not the apartment. And you're telling that story. You won't believe how crazy it was, or the crazy furniture, or the sculptures, or whatever it might be. And then the last is kind of quirky layouts where, again, buyers have a hard time envisioning how it's going to work for their lifestyle.
Yeah. No, you're 100% on, and I can draw on personal experience again. I remember moving into an apartment where it seemed so simple, right? Living room was a box. We measured it. Bedroom was a box. We measured it. We got our dresser in the bedroom, and we hadn't really factored in that when the door was open, we needed the door to fully open, and it was like 2 feet from the wall.
Yeah.
And we said, oh, this is, and luckily the furniture company, they worked with us and we got a smaller thing, but it was a disaster. I mean, they came in, they set the whole thing up. I tipped the guys, and it wasn't until like an hour later when I went to walk in, I said, oh my God, how did we do this?
You're not the only person. So
yeah, it is. It's really, really hard to envision the space.
Yep.
So that makes a lot of sense. And then when you're working on the commercial side, let's talk about that, because I imagine that is post-COVID when there's this big emphasis, especially for office landlords, to provide amenity space. Is that mostly what you're dealing with on the commercial side?
So we don't typically do commercial in terms of true office space. If we do any commercial, we're working with somebody. They might have a reception area, a lounge, a conference space. So we do have done those over the years, but we're not outfitting offices with office furniture for rent. But we work with a lot of developers, and sometimes they do have some office space that we will help them with.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a different kind of animal altogether. And I know that from, furnishing this office. It's quite an endeavor. And so let's talk a little bit about the differences in staging if you're working with, like new development versus an estate sale. It's something that's from, we touched on this a little bit. Um, let's take the example of you walk into an apartment, it's a beautiful, let's say co-op on Fifth Avenue, but it was decorated in 1930.
Sure.
Like, how do you parse through what is classic and timeless versus the freshen up, and maybe talk some more stories, because I imagine some people get bent out of shape.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, we've done a lot of estate sales on the Upper East Side over the years, and I would say a couple things really help. One is a fresh coat of paint. So we always recommend paint will go a long way, and that's part of kind of our staging process is we'll make that recommendation. But with kind of pre-war buildings, estate sale, Upper East Side, something like that, one of the great things is you have all this character and architectural details that you might not find in the new development. You might have a really great fireplace, and a great living space, but the kitchen's really small and there's a maid's room, which doesn't function in today's world. And so there's kind of, how do we highlight the great parts of this property and showcase that while also kind of minimizing the flaws and things that aren't quite so nice. And is it turning that maid's room into an office and showing that the kitchen can fit a little eating and dining table, and then putting a great mirror above the fireplace to reflect off of the window to get some more light in there, because oftentimes light's not as abundant in kind of these older buildings. So we might bring in more lighting. So every apartment's unique. And then in the new dev, it's kind of the flip, which is lots of light, great big glass windows, views. The living space and kitchen are usually of a nicer size, right, but the bedrooms are super small, and they're built for efficiency, and the bedrooms are really tiny, and people walk in and it's this same, issue that we've talked about before, which is, can I fit a bed, a desk, and a dresser for my child in this room? I don't think so. And so if we can show that, it's a game changer.
right. And how much do you rely on computer renderings for things like that? Like, let's say you stage a bedroom. That's the best thing, is you walk in and you can actually, you could touch it literally and you can see it. But do you have to model things out for certain people?
We design everything and scale it all out so that we can actually see that it's going to fit before we deliver it, because we also don't want to deliver and then it's like, oh God, this didn't fit here. So we're measuring everything and scaling it out before we actually get there. And we can show our clients, hey, this is what's going to fit in that room when we finish, and this is the furniture that we're recommending, so they can really get a feel for what it's going to look like.
Right. What's and we can pass on this if it's going to get too specific, but any war stories or funny stories?
The best one I think that we've gotten is a request for a waterbed. That was a little surprising, because I thought that those days were over, but they asked if we rent waterbeds, and we do not, for lots of different reasons. I think the risk of transporting it would probably not work so well, but no, we don't rent water beds, but that was interesting. And then we've been in many apartments where you get someone who's really emotionally attached to their apartment and they've been there for a long time, and we have to gently guide them in the right direction in terms of design to help explain why we need to make certain changes. That happens sometimes too.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Very personal thing, your home.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then, let's say someone calls you in. Do you typically go with Jonathan on site? Do you have to, in some cases, bring in specialists for certain types of properties, or how do you guys run things?
Yeah, we have a design team who will work with the client to, we'll have a kind of a kickoff call to go through the property. How do you want it staged? What is the target demographic? Where is it located? What type of building is it? Is it new development? Is it pre-war? And we'll really go through the whole project from beginning to end to get a better understanding of what they're trying to accomplish. And then we'll come up with a design. We'll often go to the property. Someone from the design team will go, measure it out, see what's really working, because sometimes floor plans or pictures don't tell you everything. And then we come up with a custom proposal, which we present to them, showing them the actual furniture that they would be getting.
Right. No, that makes sense. Let's see, what else? I think, it's funny. We actually covered a lot of the questions that we were thinking through. We've covered just in conversation. I guess, is most of we kind of touched on this too, but is most of the demand in Manhattan itself? Manhattan
and Brooklyn are the two yeah, are the two big ones. Um, it's Manhattan with Brooklyn not far behind, and then it's Queens and Bronx, and then we've done a few projects in Staten Island in terms of the five boroughs. So we've covered it all.
That makes sense. And then to the extent that you're out in the burbs, do you find that's mostly people that have left New York City and they're buying new homes, or are you starting to deal with developers out there? It's a little tough. They're a little constrained with what they can build as far as multifamily goes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, some of the Westchester have some ground up development. You know, you look at New Rochelle,
oh, New
and it's
Rochelle, yeah.
thousands of units over the last couple of years. So there are certain areas where new development is happening, and then out in the suburbs, it's a lot of resale. Someone who might be selling a home and it's vacant and they need to stage it. Um, but kind of suburb homes are single family homes are different than apartment living, and so we have to take that into consideration too in terms of the furniture, the design, the style. It's in New York City, the dining table is a different size than often the dining table in a 4,000 square foot home in suburbs.
Yeah, know that from experience too. Yeah. RXR redeveloped a lot of New Rochelle, right? I see that skyline if I'm on like the Cross Island. You never used to be able to identify New Rochelle quite like you can now. And you go, wait, is that like an annex to New York City up there? It's really wild
Yeah.
what they've done. Yeah, I imagine you're gonna have one of the nice things about the business you're in is there's a need for housing all over the New York City area, outside of the city too.
Yeah.
So I imagine, you're you're way ahead of the game as far as being in this business, being maybe not a first mover, but it's being like a name brand in this space. I think is really a great thing to have.
Yeah, thank you.
So this is just like a curiosity that I had.
Yeah.
If someone rents their furniture, for example, and generally speaking, because I know it might be different in each case. Let's say do you ever do anything that's longer than a year?
We do. We have people who have been renting us for over 3 years.
Okay.
So typically our terms are it's either 3 to 14 months or 24 months on your initial rental. But people renew because they just don't want to deal with buying it. They don't know what the future holds for them. They don't want to deal with moving it. So we've had people renting with us for multiple years. And then we have people, about 25% of our customers buy the furniture at the end. They'll just say, you know what, I like it. I don't want to keep renting. I'm going to own it all. And so they'll buy it or renew.
And for the ones, let's say like the 75% that it's been 3 years and they're going to give it back to you now, how often do you have to make the decision to say, all right, this is now obsolete. This was a trendy thing in 2023. Nobody wants this anymore. Does that come up pretty often? Is that a frustration?
It's less about the design. I mean, furniture does, there's wear and tear over the years. So we actually have a partnership with Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, wow. That's great.
And so what we do is when furniture's kind of finished its useful life with us, if it's still in good shape, we can donate it to Habitat for Humanity. They'll sell it in their restores, and the proceeds go to building affordable housing. So it really is kind of a full circle, keeping furniture out of landfills, helping build affordable housing, and really a great partnership that we're happy to be a part of.
That's fantastic, actually. So let's see. I guess, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Knowing your business better.
Sure. So we have our staging business, which we talked about, where we provide staging for developers and property owners and real estate agents. We have our furniture rental business where residents can just come to our website, rent furniture anywhere from 3 to 24 months. But we also have what we call private client. And so for private client, it is a higher level of furniture rental. We actually have done a lot of the New York Liberty, Brooklyn Nets, Rangers, Islanders, celebrities, actors and actresses who are coming here, politicians, and just executives who might be coming here or just someone who's coming here for 3 to 12 months. Their furniture is either not ready. They don't know how long they're going to be here. They need temporary furniture. And so we have private client services where we will design the apartment for you. It's furniture that's not on our website. We will then install it, and we can go as far as pots, pans, bedding, towels, everything, the whole nine. And so that is a service that has really started to grow over the last 12, 24 months for us. And so we're putting some more focus on that because we're excited for kind of the growth we've seen so far.
Yeah. I mean, post-COVID, that makes so much sense because even the people you named, it makes sense that they might be in town. An actor has a gig, they're shooting in New York for 3 months, or a politician is going to the UN, a few blocks from where we are now. But I'm even just thinking, the way people work remotely so often, but then maybe they have to be in a city for a certain period of time, or corporate housing has to provide for, kind of roving workers these days. So that's good. You guys, you have a lot of foresight, I think, into where these things are going. Do you wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and have like this great, furniture idea, and your wife just goes, or your significant other goes, "What are you doing? You're waking me up."
I don't know about that, but I think we probably all send ourselves emails from time to time about, you can't sleep. So I've definitely been there where
I mean, I'm guilty of it with like boring stuff, like a provision that I could have added to a lease or something. So I'm not pointing fingers.
It's all the same furniture. It's all the same thing. It's how we operate. We all have to operate these businesses. So
exactly, and it's at the end of the day, it's the people behind it too. Sure. That's definitely what keeps me up at night, and why we have to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
But all right, well, yeah, Gavin, it's really been great having you on here.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? If they're obviously the website, but if they could follow you on social or anything.
Yeah, so if you want to reach out to us, you can email us for our staging side. It's staging@theeverset.com. And you can see our staging website at staging.theeverset.com. And then for furniture rental, theeverset.com and hello@theeverset.com.
That's nice and easy. Yeah. Easy stuff. All right, Gavin, thanks so much. We're going to be following, and I've thought of some people I should connect you with already.
Oh, great. I appreciate it.
Excellent. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
For more on all things real estate and the law, subscribe to this and our other podcasts. Follow Bergstein, Flynn, Knowlton, and Polina on social media. Subscribe to our newsletter and go to bfklawoffice.com. That's bfklawoffice.com to learn more.